someone said to me that they don't enjoy MMORPGs anymore. They don't enjoy them as much as they used to when they were a kid. And I said, okay, whatever game you played when you were a kid, how long did you play it for? And they're like, oh, hours. Every day after school, come home, hours invested into it. I knew all the NPCs, I knew all the shortcuts, I knew how to kill all the bosses, I knew all the little in-jokes. Okay, cool. And how long have you played this new game that you're trying to recapture that magic with? Day or two. Sometimes, if you invest a lot of time into something, you form a connection with it. Not necessarily parasitic.
Are we doing the IKEA analogy? Or are we going to do IKEA here? Because that's effectively what he's saying. No, he's right about this.
Not even necessarily Stockholm Syndrome. Sometimes it's a genuine, loving, deep connection, even with a game. And you have that, and you enjoy that, and no one can take that away from you. And then when a new MMO comes along and you jump in and you play, you're almost expecting that game to have the emotional depth and connection and complexity and richness that you've spent years forming in another one. Imagine if you have a fantastic relationship and then the relationship ends for whatever reason, either good or bad, and then you start a relationship with someone else. You won't have all those little quirks. You won't have the same love language. You won't have the same connection to that new person because you haven't spent enough time with them to build it up. Sometimes when people say, oh, I had my most amazing MMORPG ever as a child and now I'm just jumping from MMO to MMO, you sometimes aren't giving those new games enough time, enough chance to form the same emotional connection that you had.
That's what I think one of the problems is with reviews nowadays, is that people make reviews for games without really playing the game. They have like a day one review of the game, and like a day one review of a game is just simply not super important to me because that's going to be literally one day. I'm waiting to see, like, what is it like after you've played the game for 300 hours? Do you look back after 500 hours of playing this game and think, man, I'm really glad I did that? Because I think those are the reviews that really fucking matter.
With an old game, people say, oh, I love World of Warcraft, and I play a new game and it's not the same.
Yeah, of course not.
Okay, well, maybe if you played that new game for the same amount of time that you played Warcraft, you would have maybe a similar connection to it. But time investment is a really big thing. People need that. Yeah, but it's a similar argument to it gets good after 100 hours. Absolutely. It absolutely is. But I think when people say, oh, this game isn't as fun as another game, yes, the gameplay does need to be accessible. Yes, it needs to be tight. It needs to be
I think there's like 50 different elements to this. There's like, whenever you eventually started playing WoW, you were probably in high school or middle school, or like maybe you just started college. Now you're in a completely different point in your life, and there's a million other games competing for your attention, so you don't feel like this is the one big game. And I think that's another big factor, right? It's age, the place you are in your life, the success you have in the game, the friends you make in the game, all kinds of shit like that. It's not just the time investment, but I do think that Josh is totally right, is that, yeah, you can't expect to have the fulfillment that you got out of a game for 10,000 hours in the first 10 hours of a new game. That's probably true.
Objectively well made, it needs to have some subjective enjoyment to you, but it's also impossible to form the same emotional bonds within 5 hours that you've spent 5 years forming. It's impossible to do.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. I totally fucking agree with that. Speaking of 100 hours, you've been inclined to try Warframe. I've heard a lot about it, but that was about it. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of people that say, I don't enjoy MMOs anymore. And I think, yes, some of it has to do with time. Some of it has to do with age. Some of it has to do with time in your life. There are just so many factors, etc. Good summary why it's hard for new MMOs to be successful. The new game doesn't only have to be better, it has to be so much better, so special at the beginning. People willingly cut out the connections they've been building for years to older games for the new game to give it a full chance. Yeah, I think that's the factor too, because a lot of times people play a new game for a little while and then they quit playing it. Every time that a new one of these games comes out, I really do try to play it a lot. Like, I don't want to play a game for like 5 hours and then go and say, yeah, this game is bad. Or play the game for 5 hours and say, yeah, this game is good. Like, for example, I mean, again, like you look at my Steam, Lost Ark, 1.3 thousand hours, and I stopped playing it like months ago. So I stopped playing it daily months ago. You look at New World here. Where the fuck is New World? Or Valheim, right? I talked a lot about Valheim. I put, does it say how many hours I put into Valheim? I don't know why it doesn't. But yeah, I put like 200 hours into Valheim as well, somewhere around there. Let's see, New World, obviously 1,000 hours into that, and then another 300 into the Test Realm. And so I played these games a lot. And that's why I do it, is because I want to make sure that the reviews of the games are actually comprehensive. That these are actual good reviews rather than just bullshit reviews. And the reason why I care about that is because I don't really do them for money. Like, yes, obviously we put ads on YouTube videos, but if I was trying to make money, I certainly don't think that a 1 million view video for 1,000 hours is worth it. This is not a proportional use of my time. So it's something that I want to do because I just like doing the reviews.